Okay, as always, we'll start with Colossians 3 and 17. Colossians 3 and 17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Hashem Mashiach, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by Hashem Mashiach. So all that we say and do is going to be in the name of the anointed Savior, Mashiach Yahushai. We give all praise and glory to the Most High, and we thank Him for everything, for He's worthy to be praised for everything. So tonight we're going to go over the Feast of Dedication, the Feast of Lights, as someone calls it Hanukkah. So we're going to go over the Feast of Dedication as I know it. So we're going to start off with John, the 10th chapter, the 22nd verse. So John 22, going to show you that Mashiach Yahushai, he observed this feast. It wasn't no Christmas either. That's just the birth of Nimrod. It has nothing to do with Mashiach Yahushai. Bringing in the winter solstice, that's all it is. So John 10:22, it says, and it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication. And we're going to go over what this is. Most I will tonight. And it was winter. So this feast of dedication comes in the wintertime. So it's cold over there in Israel at this time. And the Mashiach walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him and said unto him, how long dost thou make us to doubt? How long are you going to make us to doubt? If thou be HaMashiach, the anointed, the Messiah, tell us plainly. So here it is. They ask about if you be HaMashiach, because there's only one HaMashiach. And that's why the Spirit brought to me to bring into our nation this breakdown on HaMashiach. You see? In the 90s. So it's marvelous in you know, the anointing of the Most High that more and more are seeing the importance of the only one. HaMashiach. There's many Yahushais or whatever name you use for Jesus, but there's only one HaMashiach. And that's what they're asking him. Tell us plainly if thou be HaMashiach. Verse 25, HaMashiach answered them, I told you. So he's admitting that he is, and ye believe not. See, he's admitting that he is the only HaMashiach. The anointed, the Messiah. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But you believe not because ye are not of my sheep. See, some not going to believe because they're not of his sheep. As I said unto you, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. So his voice is the voice of the Most High. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me, is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one, meaning they agree in the same mindset. His mind is the mind of the Most High, like our mind's got to be the mind of a Mashiach Messiah, whose mind is like the Most High also. So let's go to Daniel's 8:21. We're going to go back and forth because Daniel prophesied on these things, and we're going to look into this. Daniel's 8:21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, or the Greeks. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. So horn means power. So the great power that's between his eyes is the first king. So now this is the first king of the Greeks is saying. So we got to go into the Apocrypha, which is 14 books that the Protestant church, most of you go to, took out. Not the Catholic church, because here it is. I have a Catholic Bible right here, and it's in this Bible, you see. It's a Catholic Bible. It's in this Bible, but it's not in the revised version of the King James Version Bible. But it's in the original King James 1611 Bible. All the books are there. So we're going to go to 1 Maccabees 1 and 1. because the first king is it says of the Greeks is the rough goat. So let's look at First Maccabees, the first chapter, the first verse. It's gonna be a lot of reading, so hope you're prepared for that. First book of the Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persian and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So, you see, Alexander the Greek took down the Persian and Mede Empire, and he was the first emperor of the Greek Empire, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth. He took down all the Persian Medes and all the kings that were on the earth at that time in that area, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils and many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, and he shut down all the kingdoms. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up, and he became prideful. And he gathered a mighty strong host, strong army, and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. They paid taxes to him. And after these things he fell sick, and proceeded he should die. So he got sick. Now he started this reign at 20 years old, and he died at 32 years old. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive. So he called his 4 generals to part his kingdom among them. They were Cassander, Seleucus, Ptolemy, and Lysimachus. So it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, like I said, from 20 years old to 32 years old. Verse 8. And his servants bear rule, every one in his stead, in his place. So the 4 generals that he selected, once he died, they took over. So let's go back to Daniel's 8. We're going to stay there. 8 and 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, which we just read about, Alexander coming into power. And the great horn, or power, that is between his eyes is the first king, who was Alexander the Greek, who we just read about. And mind you, the Apocrypha, what we just read in the Maccabees, is between Malachi and Matthew. Because once you, in Malachi, you're in the Persian Mede Empire. And from the Persian Mede Empire, you can't go to the Roman Empire, which Matthew, the first chapter, Mashiach is born, it tells you that's his birth. He's born in the Roman Empire. So you can't go from the Persian Mede Empire to the Roman Empire. You got to deal with the Greek Empire we just read about. When Alexander the Greek came into power, the first over the Greek Empire. Then the name was changed to the Romans. So, Daniel's 8:21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, or the Greeks. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, who was Alexander the Greek. Verse 22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it. I mean, the Bible is clear. I mean, this is prophesied before it happened. Now, there's 4 generals that I named stood up in his stead because he died. 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. It was not in his power because it's in their power, because he's dead. So now, first Maccabees, the first chapter, we're going to go to verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, meaning they received powers and authority, so that their sons after them, many years. So their sons, after they died, was reigning also. and evils were multiplied in the earth. See? Evils multiplied in the earth. When? When the Greeks came into power. It's saying. So, and the Most High told us in Proverbs, 16:4. Proverbs 16:4. The Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel, have made all things for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. And Job 9:24 says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He who is the wicked covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So now we're looking at, in the Apocrypha, in 1 Maccabees 1:9, it says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, the 4 generals. I mean, they came into power and authority, so that their sons after them. Many years. What does it say next? And evils were multiplied in the earth. When the Greeks came into power, the so-called Caucasian race. And there came out of them a wicked root. Came out of the Edomites, who are the so-called Caucasian race, who are the lineage of Alexander the Great. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. This is when Alexander reigned. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. See? They said, let's go make a covenant, a contract, agreement with these heathen. Because since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Verse 12. So did this advice please them well, wicked Israelites. Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king. This is King Antiochus, a wicked king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Say, oh yeah. Gave them license to BS the heathen. Do the same thing that the heathen's doing. Daniel's 11:22 and verse 2. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. Come on, the Greeks. And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven. And not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion, which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. Meaning, out of the 4 generals, Antiochus Epiphanes rose up, and we just read. out of the other three generals. You know, Antiochus, you know, he came out of Seleucus' line, and he rose up to be mightier than the other three generals that Alexander had parted his kingdom to before he died. So we're going to go to 1 Maccabees 1 and 41. Now that we know that this wicked king Antiochus out of the Seleucid dynasty, or the Greek dynasty, empire, 1 Maccabees 1 and 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Sound like something familiar? New World Order, right? We all one people. Like when the Twin Towers came down, it was all one people. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king, because Psalms 96 and 5 says, for all the gods of the nations are kingdoms, are idols. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. He's telling everybody, you got to leave your laws. So the Israelites consented to leaving the laws of who? The Most High. These are the Most High's laws that's in this Bible. Yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. See, sacrifice to idols and profane the Sabbath, meaning not following the Sabbath and doing things on the Sabbath that's abominable to the Most High's laws. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. And just like it is now, what do they tell you in the church? Follow the laws of the land. But they don't tell you got to follow the law of the Most High. But they straight tell you, you got to follow the law of the land. So that's what they did. They followed the strange law of the land. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple. So therefore, how was their sins being forgiven? There wasn't. That was these offerings, these sacrifices was for the atonement of our sins, symbolically, till the Mashiach came as the ultimate Lamb of the Most High, and our big brother, you know, and his blood was shed for we, the children of Israel. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, the feast days. You see, as they're doing today. You look at this. What happened when it said evils multiplied in the earth? This is where we at right now. The people are taught that they're supposed to follow the strange law of the land, or the strange laws of the land, and they profane the Sabbath every week. Every week. They think the first day of the week is the Sabbath, when it said the seventh day is. And even those, like the Seventh-day Adventists, they still off, because they don't follow the laws. They don't follow the holidays, the holy days of the Most High. They follow the holidays of this world. If you celebrating Christmas, you celebrating Nimrod's birthday. It has nothing to do with the Mashiach Yahushua. And there's too much truth out there for someone to be ignorant of not knowing. That's why when he come, he's going to be justified in putting people to death, casting them into the lake of fire, because everybody have an opportunity with social media as it is. Nobody can say, oh, I didn't know. Why you didn't know? Because you ain't care enough to know. To research and see what's available for you. There's not going to be any excuse. Believe this. For anyone, that you stand before Mashiach Yahushua and give your excuses about why you didn't want to follow the Most High's law, why you didn't love him. So you love me, keep my commandments. Commandments are not grievous, so this is the love of the Most High. And you're going to stand before him in the judgment seat and say, oh, my preacher told me I didn't have to follow you. That's what you're saying when you say you have to follow his laws. But you see, what they do. Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple. That's in the church. And that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. Profane the holy days that the Most High told us we're supposed to honor. The Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Pentecost, the ingathering, the Feast of the Blowing of the Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, Feast of the Tabernacles, the feast that we're going to have tomorrow, Feast of Dedication, and the new moons every month. Purim, you see what I'm saying? All these different holy days that we have, they polluted them. They profaned them, made them unholy, and pollute the sanctuary, see, and holy people. Polluted us. Verse 47. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. See, that's abominable. That's why when you look at, go to Leviticus, just the law, and you can read them all in Leviticus 11th chapter. They sacrificed swine flesh. They knew that was abominable for us. Leviticus 11 and 7. And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat. That's pig, the hog. And their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. See, so they used the swine and every other beast that was unclean, and they brought it into the temple and sacrificed it. Can you imagine the smell of that place? Just to defile our sanctuary, our temple. Daniel's 11 and 32. Daniel's 11, chapter 32nd verse. And upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, does fall, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm in Leviticus. Let me go back to Daniel's 11. Daniel's 11 and 31. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, like we just read in the Apocrypha. Now you tell me this don't go together. And shall take away the daily sacrifice. Remember they were sacrificing swine's flesh and all unclean beasts. And they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. That's what they were doing. You know, the abomination that maketh desolate, meaning it's good for nothing. Once they put that pig in there, and them unclean beasts on the altar, defiled it, profaned it, as it says. Verse 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their power shall be strong and do exploits. Going to follow the Most High's rules and regulations, his laws, statutes, commandments. First Maccabeus 2 and 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Matathias also and his sons came together. Matathias was a Levite, and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers, and said to Matathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler, and an honorable, and great man in this city, and strengtheneth with sons and brethren. Now therefore, come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment. like as all the heathen have done. Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shall thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. That's the flatteries that we talked about in Daniel's. Rewarding them with monetary value. To do what? To be a part of the heathen. When the Most High told us in Jeremiah 10:2 said, learn not to wear the heathen. Verse 19. Then Matathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. Who is that? Who's our fathers? Power of Abraham, power of Isaac, power of Jacob. We're going to walk, he said, in a covenant agreement that the Most High had made with the children of Israel. Most High forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. The Most High forbid that we're going to forsake the law and the ordinances. This is what we need to be like. Straight up. Because some of you weak, you're going to fall short, and you all out there doing whatever you're supposed to be doing with the heathen. But see, there's some of us going to stand strong as we have examples of our forefathers. Listen, we will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Either way it's on this way or that way. We going on the straight path as we've been going. We're not deviating from the Most High's laws, he's saying. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Medin, according to the king's commandments. Here come a Sambo Israelite gonna come and sacrifice swine flesh, abomination, whatever it was, some kind of abominable beast on the altar in front of Judas Maccabeus and his sons, or Matathias and his sons. Which thing when Matathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. He ran and killed that man upon the altar. Seeing him, you got to understand, when you understand our culture and not religion, they put that in there, but religion comes from a Latin word religio, mean to hold back, keep down, and restrain. The laws of the Most High don't do nothing of that nature. But knowing that you grew up as an Israelite, and you go into the temple, you see the sacrifices from the beginning to at this time. We was able to sacrifice. And now, we're not able to sacrifice anymore because the Greeks in power, remember the Most High made all things for himself, yeah, even wicked for the day of evil. And they come and they say evil's multiplied when they came into power. And they sacrificed swine, pig, and all kind of abominable animals on the altar. He's seeing this. Now this Israelite gonna come up there and do that in front of him? and they try to get him to do the same thing, and gonna offer him all this money and so forth, he ran up on him and killed him. Hear what it said? Verse 24, which thing when Matathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. He started trembling. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time. In the altar he pulled down. The cat that was talking to him, he killed him too. Offering him all these different monetary value gifts and so forth. He killed him too.
Sure. Q&A mode is on. Participants may now unmute themselves. Presentation mode is on. Only organizers can be heard.
Verse 49. Now when the time drew near that Matathias should die, he said unto his sons, now I have pride and rebuke Now when the time drew near that Matathias should die, he said unto his sons, now have pride and rebuke gotten strength in the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. He said, be zealous for the laws of the Most High. And give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. The covenant that was given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Verse 66. As for Judas Maccabeus, he has been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people. Judas Maccabeus, this is Matathias' son. He said, let him fight the battle of the Israelites. So we're going to go to 1 Maccabees 3:45. Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold, meaning those Greeks. Call them aliens, the real aliens. Kept the stronghold. The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob. And the pipe with the harp ceased, no music. Now let's go to 1 Maccabees, the 4th chapter. Verse 1. Then took Georgius 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of his best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. So he planned on ambushing us, we the Israelites. Now when Judas heard thereof, remember Judas, Matathias, his father, said he's going to be the leader of the army. He himself removed, and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army, which was at Emmaus. It says, while as yet the force were dispersed from the camp. In the mean season came Georgius by night into the camp of Judas. Mean season means the winter time, just as it is. And when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains. For said he, these fellows flee from us. They done ran away from us. But as soon as it was day, Judas showed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds. They ain't have any ordnance or any swords. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed, and compassed round about with horsemen. And these were expert of war. So these men that they seen were expert of war. 3,000 of them, mind you. Then said Judas to the men that were with him, fear ye not their multitude, neither be ye afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea. So remember how we were delivered in the Red Sea. What is he going back to? He's going back to the time when Pharaoh's chariots was chasing after we, the Israelites. And the Most High opened up the Red Sea. Open up the Red Sea. Verse 9 of 1 Maccabeus, the 4th chapter. Remember now how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now therefore, and remind you, they found Pharaoh's chariots. And they have them now in a museum in Cairo, Egypt. They found those chariots on the bottom of the Red Sea. But he's giving them directions. Now therefore, let us cry unto heaven, if peradventure, perhaps the Most High will have mercy upon us, and remember the covenant of our fathers, and destroy this host before our face this day. See what he's doing? He's saying, cry to the Most High. These are instructions, that so all the heathen may know that there is one who delivereth and saveth Israel, the Most High. Then the strangers lifted up their eyes and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle. But they that were with Judas sounded their trumpets. We had the trumpets in front of us that always went in front of, just like they did in the United States Cavalry. Had a certain sound they blew. We had that in front of our armies. So they joined battle. And the heathen, being discomfited, fled into the plain. Meaning they was defeating them. Howbeit, all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword. They killed all the ones that was left behind. For they pursued them unto Gazaras and unto the plains of Idumea. That's where the Edomites were. and Azorus, and Jamnia, so that there were slain of them upon 3,000 men. This done, Judas returned again with his host from pursuing them, and said to the people, be not greedy of the spoils, inasmuch as there is a battle before us. So don't be so anxious to take all of what they have on the dead bodies. You could take whatever they had, and we went to war. Everybody went to war with their best. In Georgius, you had gold, silver, whatever. Beautiful garments, your best. But Judas told them, don't be greedy over the spoils of the dead men that they had killed. And Georgius and his hosts are here by us, because we got a battle to fight in the mountains. But stand ye now against our enemies, and overcome them. And after this, ye may boldly take the spoils. Just kill them first. Then you can take all the spoils you want. That's what he's saying. As Judas was yet speaking these words, there appeared a part of them, looking out of the mountain, who when they perceived that the Jews had put their hosts to flight, and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done. They killed them. They were laying out there and they burned their tents. So Georgia's men looking out from the mountain, seeing that, hey, they've been defeated. We've been defeated. That first squadron of men been defeated. When therefore they perceived these things, they were so afraid. And seeing also the host of Judas in the plain ready to fight, they fled every one into the land of strangers. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver, and blue silk and purple of the sea, and great riches. See? So I'm saying when they went to war, they had mostly everything that they had. It was looking the best and had the best gold, jewelry on, everything. That's where it was. That's why it said, and great riches. It's the army. Once you defeated them, you got whatever they had. After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Most High in heaven, because it is good, because his mercy endureth forever. Thus Israel had a great deliverance that day. Now all the strangers that had escaped came and told Lysias what had happened, who, when he heard thereof, was confounded and discouraged, because neither such things as he were done unto Israel, nor such things as the king commanded him were come to pass. What he wanted to happen didn't happen. The next year, therefore, following, Lysias gathered together 70,000. That's 60,000 choice men of foot, and 5,000 horsemen, that he might subdue them. So he's dealing with what, 70,000, 65,000 men. So they came into Idumea. And that's where the Edomites were, the so-called white people. Edom, Rome. Look up, Idumea means Edom, Rome. And pitched their tents at Beersheba. And Judas met them with 10,000 men. So there's 65,000 against 10,000. And when he saw that mighty army, he prayed and said, Blessed art thou, O Savior of Israel, who didst quail the violence of the mighty man by the hand of thy servant David, and gave it the host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Saul, and his armor bearer. Shut up this army in the hand of thy people Israel, and let them be confounded in their power and horsemen. 65,000 against 10,000. You see what he's doing? These are solutions, brothers and sisters, that work. Make them to be of no courage, and cause the boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. Cast them down with the sword of them that love thee, and let all those that know thy name praise thee with thanksgiving. So they joined battle, 65,000 against 10,000. So they joined battle, and there was slain of the host of Lysias about 5,000 men. That's 2,000 more than they had. Even before them were they slain. They seen them being killed. Now when Lysias saw his army put to flight, in the manliness of Judas soldiers, and how they were really ready either to live or die valiantly, he went into Antiochus and gathered together a company of strangers, and having made his army greater than it was, he purposed to come again into Judea. So he got all these other nations joining with him. Make his army stronger, or larger at least. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Sion. So they going to cleanse the sanctuary. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profane, and the gates burned up, and scrubs growing in the courts as in the forest, or in one of the mountains, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes. This is humility and sadness. They tore their clothes and made great lamentation, started crying, and cast ashes upon their heads, complete humility, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Verse 52. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Casual, in 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning, this quickly in the morning, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. See, they had, let's go back up so we can get the whole story. Verse 40. And fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Crying to the Most High again when they seen how they had just profaned the temple. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law. So he chose those priests with blameless conversation that had pleasure in the laws of the Most High, who cleanse the sanctuary and bear out the defiled stones into an unclean place. Remember, they got all, it had to be filthy and nasty. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down. See, we got to pull this down, lest there should be a reproach to them, a disgrace to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down. They pulled it down and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick, which is the seven candlesticks, like as you see here. They brought the 7 candlesticks into the temple. Which is a shield of David, which is 6 points. It's not like this. This is not the candlestick that we had. When you read about the candlestick, each bar, all this had to be the same size. The only way you can make it the same size, they all have to be the same size as this. You would go across here and across there. You had one in the middle, which would, when you look down upon it, be 6 different sizes. You see. For all you that don't know, now you know. You can look it up in the hardback Zondervan Bible Dictionary. You can't draw it. They have the lines going to show you how it went out. Like you look at some of these old movies, you'll see that candlelight that they had, because that's how you get the most light. Because it's light going all around, rather than just going as this. You know, that's not a real replica of the candlestick. But then we rehearsing, you see. The righteous acts tell us in Judges 5:11. Continuing. Verse 49. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick and the altar of burnt offerings, and the incense, and the table. And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the